So yeah, we're gonna be doing things differently because number one, it's just a lot easier to edit videos when you can see me and I don't have to go around the internet scouring for clips of the movies in question. And number two, as well, I don't know, it just feels way more natural, I think. So yeah, Godzilla Minus One is directed by Takashi Yamazaki, and it's the newest Godzilla film to come out, the newest Toho Godzilla film, I should say. The last one was Shin Godzilla all the way back in 2016. And, I mean, I don't know what else to say. I'm pretty sure you've heard enough. It's a damn good movie. It's like a really freaking good movie. That's really all I have to say. There's a reason why I'm literally looking at like the IMDb and stuff. It's like 8.5 out of 10 and 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. Not that I trust Rotten Tomatoes, but it's a pretty good sign when most people are like, yeah, go watch this movie about a giant monster that invades Japan. Yeah, this movie honestly might actually be in contention for me personally as the best Godzilla film made so far. I have to rewatch the original 1954 Godzilla, and I also have to rewatch Shin in order to really make my choice about like which one is the best, because it's kind of standard practice. It's kind of like the standard that like solo Godzilla films are the best ones. Like those are just the best ones. When Godzilla is not fighting some other monster and he's by himself against the human race, and he's and he's like a metaphor for the failures of humanity or the atomic bomb or the creations that we don't want to admit we created. Like, that's usually the best, and Minus One is exactly that. Minus One is just him going beast mode against the entire populace of Tokyo, and it's a scary fucking movie. The first time you see Godzilla in this movie, it's a jump scare. I legitimately jumped out of my seat. I literally went, holy shit. He just fucking appeared out of nowhere, and they really upped the volume of the roar in this movie. Like, yeah, I watched it in IMAX, and that roar really just, it discombobulated me. It discombobulated me entirely. I'm a huge Godzilla fan. I have every single Toho film over there. Love Godzilla, and I also have all of the MonsterVerse films on digital. I don't know why. It just happened to be that way. But yeah, I love Godzilla. It's just a thing that I enjoy. I like watching Godzilla fight other monsters. Godzilla King of the Monsters is one of my favorite modern Godzilla films. But also, I love Giant Monsters All Out Attack. I love a lot of the Showa stuff. I love Ghidorah, the three-headed dragon, and its craziness. I love Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, and I also love a lot of the Heisei stuff. Godzilla versus Destroyer will always be such a fun movie to watch, and also a little emotional because, spoilers, they kill a baby Godzilla, and it's just like, no, why can't our boy just be happy? Why does he have to lose everybody that he loves? I don't know. That's just how it works sometimes, and yeah. So I'm a big Godzilla fan. I love it, and I went into this movie expecting pretty good stuff. Like, I went into the movie knowing that everybody was praising the hell out of it, and I was still knocked on my ass by it. It was still that good. I mean, I love everything about it. I love that Godzilla went back to a kind of Heisei design. He's kind of bulky. He has a lot of scales. His spikes have that like number 4 hand sign look to them. It looks very Heisei, and I really enjoy it. I also like how menacing he is in this film, because whenever he shows up, things happen. He means business. He's like, yeah, fuck you guys. This movie is also just really good from the character standpoint. The main character is a ex-kamikaze pilot in World War II. Yes, this is a post-World War II Japan. I think this might be the first time that a Godzilla movie takes place in the past and not takes place in like the current modern day of like whatever's happening. I think so. Yeah, I think so. So yeah, this movie takes place in as I said, post World War II Japan. Japan just lost the war. If you've been to a history class, you know exactly how much they've lost. And it's not going good for the main character. He's an ex-kamikaze pilot who did not kamikaze. He kind of said, no, fuck that. I'm not doing that. And for those of you who know Japanese history, it's not a good thing. The Japanese government kind of brainwashed their citizens and kind of told their citizens that, like, hey, if somebody didn't do their duty, then they are a failure to the Japanese society and everything. This movie is very anti-imperialistic Japan because throughout the whole movie, the government does basically nothing to help the citizens. The whole point of this movie is that governments are full of people that only care about themselves and only care about things that don't matter, and when it comes to actually protecting their citizens, they're very useless. And it's now the job of the citizens to not only put their lives on the line once again, but they have to kind of band together, come up with the plan, and kill a giant radioactive lizard that quite literally shoots nukes. It's insane. It's an insane premise, and the movie does a really good job of using the main character to really hone into that point. I love how this character goes through literal hell. I'm not going to go into deep spoilers for anybody who hasn't seen it, but yeah, this dude just goes through everything. He loses a lot of people. He goes through a lot of trauma. And there is a moment in this film, I think it might be one of the best Godzilla moments of any Godzilla film, anything with Godzilla in it. That is just amazing. It perfectly encapsulates what Godzilla is as a cinematic entity, and just good job, Toho. Just good job. You come back. You've shown everybody up, and now you're just like, yeah, that's right. We still know how to make Godzilla films. It's also really funny because the last Godzilla film, Shin Godzilla, was all about how the government can help its citizens, but the practices that are put in place are really, really bad, and there's just way too much stuff to go through in order to actually make any change. And then in this one, it's like, fuck the government. Not fuck the government, but like, not fuck the government, but like, you know, could be a lot better. Yeah, Godzilla in this one, like I said, menace to society. I think this is the best atomic breath ever. I really love the atomic breath in this one. Like I said, there is a scene where he shoots his atomic breath and he roars, and it is a beautiful moment. It is a beautifully haunting moment, I should say. As a Godzilla fan, my mouth was agape. I was just like, what the fuck? What is happening? This is insanity. And I also like that we finally got a Godzilla movie that gave us a Jaws chase scene. Like, it took us all this time to realize that, yeah, Godzilla is a land and sea creature. He can swim very well. So, yeah, let's have him chase a boat. And it's very clear that Takashi was very inspired. I feel like he was inspired by Jaws during this scene, because it's like a little pontoon boat that is just doing its best to get away from this giant creature, and this motherfucker Godzilla is just like, oh yeah, I'ma eat ya, and it's just it was such a great moment because the movie plays it fully serious, and you're just sitting there going, this is a 300-meter tall radioactive creature that is just trying to eat these people. And like, you put yourself in the shoes of this crew, and you're just like, I would be pooping myself. I wouldn't even be able to operate. That's how insane the situation is. Also, I have to say this right now, the music is absolutely amazing. The music by Naoki Sato, absolutely amazing. This might be one of the best Godzilla OSTs ever. I have certain tracks on repeat. Obviously, bringing back the original Godzilla theme, you know, like hearing that again, goosebumps all around, goosebumps just all over the place. But there is a certain track that I think for me is like the best track in the entire soundtrack. It was mostly, you probably heard it if you watched the second trailer a lot. It's called Godzilla 1.0 Divine, I think it's called. I might be wrong. I'm going to quickly check. That track is just so good. That track is just so amazing. I think it perfectly encapsulates this version of Godzilla being an absolute menace to humanity and just wanting to end everyone around him. Yeah, I'm just saying that this movie is great. This movie is so good. With $15 million, they somehow managed to make a movie that looks way better than almost any Western high VFX film that has come out in the past few years. And yeah, I want more. I want more of this Godzilla. He is cool, and I want more. I want so much more of it. So I'm just gonna give this film like a giant 2 thumbs up with a smile, and you should definitely go see it. Even if you're not a big Godzilla fan, this is just a great movie. Like, that's it. This is just a great movie. That's it. Go watch it. Enjoy yourself. Please watch it in the biggest screen possible. If you're not able to go see it in a movie theater, I highly recommend that you like watch it on like your TV with like surround sound, or if you have good headphones, please. You need to give yourself like the best experience possible when you are watching this movie. This movie is so cool. Movie is so cool. The Boy and the Heron is the newest film from Hayao Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli. If you know Studio Ghibli, you know exactly what you're in for. If you haven't seen this movie yet, you're in for a very, very, very melancholy, magical whimsy experience. And that's kind of the best way I could abbreviate this movie. This is easily one of the more slower films in the Ghibli lineup. This movie takes its time. It takes its time to set up Mahito, the main character. He's a 12-year-old kid who, I can just say this because it's literally in the first minute of the movie. He loses his mother in a hospital fire in Tokyo. Everything about this movie, in my personal opinion, is really good. I love the 2D animation. I think that there are some really beautifully animated moments in this film. The music, Joe Hisaishi came back. You know, the guy who made the music for Spirited Away and a bunch of other Studio Ghibli films. He's back, and once again, the music almost makes me cry every time. This is a movie that is definitely going to divide some people, I think, even if you are a Studio Ghibli fan. This is definitely one of the more surreal Studio Ghibli films. This movie handles a lot of really big, themes. Like, it handles death, life, rebirth, multiple worlds, the magic of childhood and the whimsy of childhood, and how children handle loss and trauma, and how children are able to be way more mature than we give them credit for. This movie is a lot, and it's insane. It's insane how Hayao Miyazaki is just able to consistently give us some insane stories and everything. I watched the sub version. I did not see the dub version. I know that a lot of people are going to say, how could you miss the Robert Pattinson performance? I know. I've always been more of a fan of sub than dub. That's just who I am as a person. I will admit that there are some things out there that are better dub-wise than sub, but for me, most of the time, the sub just ends up being more natural, and I enjoy listening to the Japanese language, even though I don't speak a lick of it. I tried. It was really difficult, and Duolingo failed me. But yeah, I think that this movie is really good. I think that you should definitely give it a shot, even if you're not a Studio Ghibli fan. I think that there's a few things in here for everybody. Like I said, some of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in a movie. I really have to talk about this because, and you know what? We'll save that tangent for right after I'm done with Boy and the Heron so that we don't just interrupt it. I'm going to get into a little bit of a tangent because it kind of pisses me off. But yeah, I did read a few like articles and things afterwards saying that that this movie is kind of Hayao kind of talking about his Miyazaki kind of talking about his childhood and how he dealt with trauma, and that Mahito is kind of a version of him when he was younger. I mean, yeah, definitely. This movie is a lot, and I really love the world that was created from this movie. It's very, very, very powerful, and I think it's always awesome how Studio Ghibli can make a movie that at one point is like super happy and makes you smile, and it's like, whoa, look at this very happy music and these really colorful visuals, and then it could just drop you into this very like existential mood of like, what is happening, what is life, what is going on, how. I don't know if this would be my favorite Studio Ghibli film. For me, Princess Mononoke is leaps and bounds ahead of many. I still love Ponyo, I think, better. I still think Totoro and Howl's Moving Castle are better. Obviously, Spirited Away. I think Spirited Away is the closest to this movie in terms of the subject matter and how it and what it's kind of trying to do, how children have to go through, how children have their own struggles and how you interpret them. I don't know, like I just feel like for me, these two movies have a lot similar. But yeah, I'm also going to give The Boy and the Heron a gigantic thumbs up. The Japanese voice cast does really well, and I'm really excited to rewatch the film in dub when it releases on DVD so that I can buy it and I can see it and I can be like, yeah, Robert Pattinson, how did you pull that voice off? So yeah, I guess what I'm saying here is that the two Japanese films that have come out recently are amazing, and you should definitely give them a shot, because I think you're going to be genuinely surprised by both of them. They both get thumbs up, a smile, big capital G, go see them in theaters. And yeah, and I'm sorry, I have to talk about this. How is it that a movie like Godzilla Minus One that looks as great as Godzilla Minus One, how is it that this movie looks better than basically than almost any new Western film? I mean, I'm thinking about like The Flash and Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, a movie where, no offense, big Indiana Jones fan here, but no offense, an old man is going around the world looking for treasure. How is it that movie had $200 million behind it, and it didn't look that good? I'm not going to say that it looked terrible, but it didn't look great. It just did not look great at all. And also, you know, it wasn't as effective as the original trilogy. But like, yeah, looks wise, how does that movie that had that much money behind it look like that? But then the Japanese come out with a $15 million film that looks amazing. There was no part of Godzilla Minus One that made me go, well, that looked bad. No, every single moment that Godzilla is on screen, it's like, holy shit, what's about to happen next? It had me zoned in. It had me zoned the fuck in. And yeah, I'm just wondering, how? On the other side of the film spectrum, animation, you guys remember when Disney was like, yeah, we're not going to do 2D anymore because it's just an old medium and it just doesn't look as good as 3D. Yeah. Okay. So is that why Sony, DreamWorks, and now and Studio Ghibli, is that why these three have just been running circles around you? Like, I'm not saying that the animation quality is not the only thing that constitutes a good movie, but when it comes to animation, it's a pretty big part of it. It's a pretty big part of it. And I'm not trying to shit on anybody. I'm not trying to shit on the animators. I know that the animators and the VFX workers have worked really hard to create these movies under the time restrictions. I'm not blaming them. They're doing the best that they can. I liked Elemental. It wasn't the best movie ever. It's definitely not one of the better Pixar movies, but it's not a bad movie. It's a little too simple. It's a little too simple for today, in my personal opinion. I'm just happy that Disney went back and made a romance film again, because it's been a while. But like, and I'm not even going to sit here and say that all Disney 3D animated films were bad, because, you know, Coco exists, Moana exists, Frozen's 1 and 2 exists. I know that it's, you know, a meme to hate on Frozen, but let's face it, it is pretty good. And I did like the second one. I actually like the second one more than the first one. Personal opinion, I know. Feel free to roast me. But, you know, these movies, Spider-Verse, Puss in Boots, these movies are a style of like 2D and 3D animation, and it looks super cool and clean, and we love watching it. And then here comes Studio Ghibli with a fully traditional 2D film, and in my opinion, it looks better than like basically every single Disney film that has come out in the past 7 years. It looks amazing. And again, Joe Hisaishi's score is absolutely instrumental in making this film seem that much better. It's just that good, dude. It really is just that good. Listen, at the end of the day, I just think that we need to really I think Disney and Hollywood really need to take a step back and start thinking about what they're doing, because it's just not working. It's just not working. So yeah, that's going to be it for me for these two films. I love both of them very much. I'm definitely going to buy both of them on physical, add them to my collection. It's going to be a lot of great times rewatching those movies whenever they come out. I will be doing more grouped videos. It's just going to be a lot easier to edit, and it's going to be a lot easier for me to get it out to you and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's going to be it. Peace.